Other fascinating cultural news, you have Megan Rapinoe mocked as she continues to compete in the women's soccer team for the global tournament. Now, I know maybe people not know this, but this past week, there actually have been competitions where the U.S. women's soccer team is going to compete internationally, and apparently it's an official FIFA event. Now, she is technically the co-captain of the U.S. women's soccer team, though maybe people would say because of her maybe just because she's more mentally or morally vacuous, she shouldn't be the captain at all. She's best known for continuing to just hate the United States, but ironically representing the United States in all these games. She spends more times on her knees than a woman of the night, some might say, during the national anthem. I wouldn't disparage her with that haircut or anything, but she's consistently ashamed of the United States, but then goes to compete for the United States. Now, she's actually doing worse than usual, which is saying something because the bar for her performance is pretty low. A group of high school boys actually beat them a couple years ago when they competed, which again is reason number 9,995,000 billion. Why there are appropriate reasons to have separate sporting categories for males and females. But although ironically she doesn't like that, but I digress for a moment. In terms of her performance, they passed the ball to her. She had a clear shot to the goal, like less than 4 meters away, which that's disgusting. Actually, I feel ashamed as an American to say I use that term. Let's say it's about 4.5 yards or something like that. Because America, we use yards because we have yards. I digress. But she misses it by about 30 feet. So she's about maybe 4 yards away from that goal. Pretty much a clear line of sight, and she kicks the ball about 30 feet high over the goal. Which, again, every kid plays soccer in the United States. It's a really popular kids game, and some adults watch it as well in the United States. Even I never missed by that far when I was young. Which, I will go on the record, I did play soccer as a child, but yeah, when I got to high school, I played, things like wrestling, football, etc. Now, interestingly enough, the Women's World Cup, they're not doing great. But again, perhaps a good cultural metaphor from our society, they are celebrating mediocrity to its full extent. So earlier in the week, you had the U.S. women's soccer team versus Portugal, and they tied 0-0, which is, again, why I would consider soccer not really an adult game, because in the real world, adults don't tie. They win or lose appropriately. And ideally, if you lose, you take some lessons learned from the situation, go back home and work like hell and get better, improve. Words that I know are foreign to many today, but unfortunately, maybe we'll bring them back in fashion. But she finished this game, and these morons, soccer players, were celebrating the fact that they tied with a mediocre soccer team, or as other countries might say, football, because they call it football, oddly enough. But they're celebrating that. Now, of course, throughout this whole interaction of competing on the world stage, Megan continues to kneel during the U.S. national anthem, and it seems to be a trend for a lot of athletes in the United States. Why is she profiting? She's profiting from representing the United States, but she's ashamed of the country. And she's also one of those people who she thinks that she deserves to be paid the same as a man in terms of the men's soccer team. Physically speaking, no, because she's a loser in terms of physically speaking. Well, also in this game, she's basically a loser because they missed the goal. But the reason men and women make different money, especially in sports, is because of the direct correlation between the teams making money, or in this case, losing money. Billions of people watch the FIFA U.S. Men's World Cup. Those people not just tune in, so you have the advertising rights where advertisers pay to put their logos on the TV where the eyeballs are glued, but they also have merchandising sales where people are buying the jerseys. You have the drink, the concession stands. Now, for the women's soccer team, you just can't make a lot of money from 12 people going to the game and buying a hot dog. Regardless of how good the profit margins are in a hot dog or a piss water beer in a 2-cent plastic cup, that's why she's paid less. It has nothing to do with sexism, as she claims. It's about the fiscal performance behind the two different sporting brands. And it's amazing how many people blindly believe her and follow her lack of logic. It's ridiculous. Now, to prove my point, or to further prove this point, usually, again, FIFA, the men's soccer, the World Cup, is one of the most watched sporting events in the world. Billions of people tune into that. It's bigger than the Super Bowl in the United States. That's how big it is. Now, for those tickets, presumably, people are paying through the nose to get those men's tickets. Now, contrast to that, with this latest World Cup matches in New Zealand, FIFA, They just paid to revamp the stadium. So the stadium is great. You can't blame it on the bad seats or anything like that. They revamped and reconditioned and refurbished a lot of the stadium, but they can't sell tickets. FIFA, again, one of the most profit-driven organizations on the planet. They basically print money. They have so much enthusiasm behind men's soccer. FIFA, again, even they who love making money, they wouldn't give away a glass of water at a men's sporting event because they can sell it for $20 or whatever. In contrast that to the women's U.S. Open, or the women, I guess that's tennis, for the women's FIFA World Cup matches in New Zealand, FIFA gave away 20,000 tickets because they can't sell them. 20,000 tickets. They literally cannot give them away. And even then, even with a free ticket, people didn't hardly show up. Again, it's all about supply and demand, which, again, I know public schools have a lot of struggles with, teaching basic things like economics or, health class. But if you have very little demand for a product, the price doesn't matter. People don't want it. The demand is not there. There's more seats than they need. So it'll be interesting to see how many people actually tune in to these events. But it's even more disappointing that someone who considers himself American consistently just says America is the worst place to live, consistently kneels during the anthem, when, again, they're supposed to be representing the United States on a global front, which I would also say is even worse than kneeling during an official U.S.-based soccer game. Now, I know there probably won't be too much backlash because only 78 people around the globe will watch this, but still, morally speaking, culturally speaking, it is vacuous and disgusting that someone who is American continues to profit off the United States while at the same time saying the United States is terrible and the worst place to live. Again, why not go play for the other team? Sounds like a better idea to me, but I digress. Now, I want to especially thank everyone for taking the time to tune in. We're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers by the end of August, so I greatly appreciate you taking the time to click that subscribe button. Every time you do that, you help the channel grow and develop. You'll be able to get more resources to increase our capabilities for the software, so you maybe put some pictures up as we try to make them better and better. Also, don't forget to take the time to like and actually comment on the video. The feedback has also made the show a lot better. And also, finally, don't forget to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.